The first impact shattered Armstrong Base's northern dome like an eggshell. Vacuum alarms wailed across all channels as emergency bulkheads slammed down, sealing off corridors and labs. Dr. Ilara Miles watched in horror from the relative safety of the deep sector 300 meters below the lunar surface. The research station's vital signs flatlined on her tablet one by one. Antimatter containment holding at 98%. Her assistant whispered, face pale in the emergency lighting. But the main labs they're gone. Ilara's fingers trembled as she tried to access the crew manifest. Her brother, Dr. Tomas Miles, had been working in the quantum resonance lab near the North Dome. The system returned error after error as she tried to ping his location beacon. Unknown vessels approaching from lunar north, announced the base AI, its voice unnaturally calm. Configuration does not match any United Earth Coalition registry. Weapons, fire detected. The second impact hit the central dome, and the deep sector shuddered like a living thing. Dust rained from the ceiling. "This is impossible," someone muttered. "We've never detected any other civilizations. The Fermi paradox." Ilara cut them off. "Looks like we've solved it." She pointed to the live feed from the few remaining external cameras. Massive ships shaped like curved obsidian blades descended through the starry void. They moved with impossible grace, firing crimson lances of energy that carved through lunar regolith and human-made structures alike. The communications array sputtered to life with an incoming transmission. The face that appeared was vaguely humanoid, with elongated features, pearlescent skin, and eyes with horizontal pupils that reminded Ilara of a goat's. The alien spoke, and the base's translation matrix struggled to convert the complex harmonics. "Humanity, we are the galactic concordate preservers of order. Your species has advanced too quickly, too recklessly. This demonstration is a warning. Return to your planet. Abandon your technology. Live simply until you have evolved the wisdom to join us peacefully in 10,000 years. Resistance will result in planetary sterilization." The transmission cut out. Moments later, the final dome collapsed. In the end, 128 researchers died on the moon that day. Most never knew what hit them. Ilara survived along with 43 others who had been in the deepest levels when the attack came. Tomas Miles was not among them. Earth reeled from the attack. For generations, humanity had gazed skyward, wondering if they were alone. Now they had their answer in the most brutal fashion imaginable. Orbital telescopes tracked the alien fleet as it retreated to the edge of the solar system, taking a position just beyond Neptune's orbit, waiting, watching. President Idris Mbeki of the United Earth Coalition addressed a shell-shocked global population from the Emergency Command Center beneath Geneva. "Fellow citizens of Earth today, we face the gravest threat in human history. An alien force has attacked our research outpost on the moon without provocation, killing over 100 of our brightest minds. They have demanded we abandon all technological progress and retreat into a pre-industrial existence or face extinction." The president paused, his dark eyes reflecting the weight of this unprecedented moment. "We have verified that these ships possess technology centuries beyond our current capabilities. Their weapons systems alone could devastate our planet within hours. I have convened the Global Defense Council to determine our response. I ask for your patience, your courage, and your unity in these dark hours. Humanity will not bow to intimidation, but neither will we rush headlong into destruction. We will be measured. We will be strategic. Will be mother." In the days that followed, as Earth held its collective breath, Ilara found herself summoned to the Geneva complex. Her expertise in antimatter physics and her first-hand experience of the attack made her too valuable to ignore. She sat now in a windowless conference room as military leaders and scientists debated humanity's options. "A preemptive nuclear strike," General Chowdhury insisted, pounding the table. "Hit them while they're still at the edge of the system." Admiral Nakamura shook her head. "They intercepted and vaporized our probes before they got within 10 million kilometers. Our missiles would never reach them. Then we surrender, said a pale-faced diplomat. We negotiate terms. We buy time. To do what? Alara spoke for the first time. All eyes turned to her. To become even more dependent on the technology they want us to abandon now. If we yield now, humanity essentially signs its own extinction order. We would never recover. President Mbeki entered silently, accompanied by his chief science advisor. The room fell quiet. Dr. Miles, said the president, I understand you have a proposal. Alara's heart pounded as she stood. She hadn't slept in days, haunted by images of her brother and the colleagues she'd lost. But grief had crystallized into something harder, something focused. Yes, Mr. President, I believe there's a third option beyond suicide or surrender. She activated the room's holographic display. The Concordat clearly follows a policy of preemptive strikes against emerging civilizations. They see us as a potential future threat, not a current one. This is why they attacked a research base, rather than Earth itself a warning shot. She brought up images of the alien ships. Their technology is advanced, but their tactics reveal arrogance. They approached openly confident in their superiority. They believe we are primitive, predictable, and most importantly, that we think like them. President Mbeki leaned forward. Explain. Every technological civilization follows its own unique evolutionary path, Alara continued. The Concordat assumes we're early in the same trajectory they followed, but humanity's development has been shaped by our unique history, by thousands of years of warfare, by our specific planetary conditions, by our particular biological makeup. She displayed a new set of schematics. We may lack their faster-than-light travel and energy weapons, but we have technologies they may never have needed to develop, specifically our quantum communication network, our stealth technology, and our kinetic weapons systems. The room fell silent as her plan unfolded. It was audacious, desperate, and possibly suicidal, but it was also distinctly human. 3 days later, as the alien fleet maintained its position beyond Neptune, humanity made its move, not with a declaration of war or a plea for mercy, but with silence. The quantum communications network. Earth's most sophisticated technology went dark. Satellites stopped broadcasting. Planetary defense systems powered down. To the Concordat's sensors, it appeared that Earth was complying, shutting down its technology as demanded. Commander Vornholik observed the readings from the bridge of the Concordat flagship, Indomitable Virtue. They capitulate already. He asked, his elongated fingers tapping impatiently on the command console. Disappointing. I had expected at least token resistance. It is for the best, replied his second-in-command commander Taz Lorix. Our mandate is to preserve galactic stability, not to engage in unnecessary conflicts. Perhaps, Halleck conceded, though his expression suggested dissatisfaction. Still, the speed of their surrender suggests a species lacking the vigor that would eventually threaten galactic peace. Should we not consider this a successful mission then? Asked Lorix. We identified an emerging technological species, demonstrated our power, and they submitted without further bloodshed. Halleck nodded reluctantly. True. Prepare a report for the High Council. Recommend standard quarantine protocols for the next 500 years with periodic checks to ensure compliance. But deep beneath Earth's oceans, humanity was far from surrendering. In the Mariana Trench, Challenger Deep, the United Earth Coalition's most classified military installation hummed with activity. The Poseidon Complex, hidden 7 miles below the ocean's surface, had been constructed in secret over the past 20 years. A doomsday facility designed to survive even planetary bombardment. President Mbeki stood in the command center, surrounded by military leaders and key scientists, including Alara. Before them, a 3-dimensional tactical display showed the positions of Earth, the Moon, and the Concordat fleet. All quantum network nodes are operating in stealth mode, reported the communications officer. Our transmissions are undetectable to their sensors. And the Armstrong base survivors? Asked the president. Safely evacuated via the emergency tunnels, sir. The Concordat believes they eliminated all personnel. Alara stepped forward. Mr. President, the antimatter production facilities on Mars and Titan. Report ready status. The kinetic launch platforms are in position. Mbeki nodded grimly. It's time for Phase 2. Let's show the Concordat what humanity does when backed into a corner. Across Earth's oceans, massive structures began to rise. Submarine carriers, each the size of a small city, breached the surface after decades of secrecy. These vessels represented Earth's true military might, developed not for fighting other humans, but as a contingency against exactly this scenario: first contact gone wrong. Aboard the Indomitable Virtue, alarms suddenly blared. Multiple massive structures detected on planetary surface, cried the sensor officer. Energy signatures increasing exponentially. Commander Halek rushed to the command console. Impossible. They showed no signs of this capability. Incoming transmission, reported another officer. Planetary origin. The view screen activated to show President Mbeki standing calm and resolute. Concordat vessels, this is President Idris Mbeki of the United Earth Coalition. You have committed an unprovoked act of war against humanity by attacking our lunar research facility and killing 128 civilians. You have threatened our species with extinction if we do not surrender our sovereignty and our future. Mbeki's expression hardened. Humanity rejects these terms. You have 30 minutes to withdraw from the Sol system. Any Concordat vessel remaining after this deadline will be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. The transmission ended. Halek laughed incredulously. Their primitive weapons cannot even reach us at this distance. This is clearly a bluff. Lorix appeared less certain. Commander, these structures were not detected during our initial scans. We should consider that our intelligence on human capabilities may be incomplete. Nonsense. Halek dismissed. Prepare a measured response. Target their oceanic vessels. A demonstration of our long-range capabilities should reassert our dominance. The Concordat ships fired brilliant beams of energy, lancing across millions of kilometers toward Earth. But something unexpected happened. The beams dissipated before reaching their targets, scattered by previously undetected defensive fields. Their defensive technology is more advanced than our intelligence indicated, Lorix observed, concern evident in his voice. A lucky countermeasure, nothing more? Halek insisted, though his confidence seemed to waver. Recalibrate and fire again. Before they could, the sensor officer cried out, multiple launches detected, thousands of small objects accelerating from Earth and lunar orbit. Analysis, demanded Halek. Simple kinetic projectiles, reported the tactical officer with relief. Primitive tungsten rods. No explosive payload. No threat to our shields. But the relief was premature. The kinetic impactors, simple in design but devastating in execution, had been launched using antimatter pulse drives. They accelerated to 20% of light speed within minutes, far faster than the Concordat's defensive systems were calibrated to track. The first wave hit the Concordat's outer picket ships. Despite their advanced shields, the sheer kinetic energy of objects moving at such velocities proved catastrophic. Ships, shattered like glass antimatter containment fields, collapsed, adding their own destructive power to the assault. Evasive maneuvers! Halek shouted, genuine fear in his voice for the first time. All ships maximum defensive posture. But the kinetic bombardment continued relentlessly. More than 70% of the Concordat fleet was destroyed within the first 10 minutes, unable to cope with humanity's unexpectedly devastating response. A second transmission came through, this time from a different human. An older woman with steel-gray hair stood in what appeared to be a military command center. This is General Diana Jackson, Supreme Commander of United Earth Coalition Forces. Perhaps you're wondering how a supposedly primitive species like us could devastate your advanced fleet. The answer is simple: you fundamentally misunderstood humanity. The general's expression was coldly triumphant. You thought we were weak because we haven't expanded beyond our solar system yet. The truth is, we haven't needed to, until today. As she spoke, new readings appeared on the Concordat sensors. Massive energy signatures were detected near Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn antimatter production facilities that had been hidden from initial scans, now powering up for a second wave of attacks. "Your ships are trapped in normal space," continued General Jackson. "Our quantum entanglement sensors track your every move in real time. You cannot escape, you cannot hide, and in approximately 12 minutes you will cease to exist." The transmission paused as the general leaned forward. "Or you can retreat. Now. And take a message back to your Concordat Earth is off limits. Any future aggression against humanity will trigger our Planet Cracker protocol. I suggest you look up what that means on your way home." The transmission ended. On the bridge of the indomitable Virtue, chaos reigned as more ships were destroyed. Commander Halleck stood frozen, his worldview crumbling around him. "This cannot be happening," he whispered. "They are savages. Primitives." "They are neither," Lorix countered firmly. "They are something the Concordat has never encountered before, a species that developed weapons before developing space travel, a species forged in conflict rather than cooperation. We have made a grave miscalculation." Halleck drew his sidearm, pointing it at Lorix. "I will not retreat. The Concordat does not retreat before lesser species." "Then you condemn the survivors to death," Lorix replied calmly. "I will not allow that." What happened next occurred so quickly, the bridge crew barely registered it. Lorix moved with unexpected speed, disarming Halleck and restraining him in one fluid motion. "By emergency protocol Theta 9, I am assuming command," Lorix announced. "Helm plot immediate withdrawal course from the system. All remaining vessels form defensive screen around the flagship." As the surviving Concordat ships prepared to retreat, Halleck broke free from his restraints and lunged for the weapons console. "I will not be remembered as the first Concordat commander to surrender to primitives." Lorix had no choice. With clinical precision, he fired his weapon. Halleck collapsed, a smoking hole where his center eye had been. Commander Halleck died in battle against the humans. Lorix announced to the stunned bridge crew. "That is what the records will show. Now carry out my orders. Withdraw immediately." The surviving Concordat vessels, less than 20% of the original fleet, activated their faster-than-light drives and vanished from the Sol system, leaving behind only debris and shattered certainties. The Galactic Concordats ruling council convened in an emergency session, unlike any in their 1,000-year history. Representatives of 12 advanced species gathered in the Great Hall on Concordia Prime, their voices raised in furious debate. "This is unprecedented," declared Chancellor Vala of the Myresian Dominion, her crystalline form refracting light as she gestured emphatically. "A pre-FTL species should not possess the capability to destroy a Concordat battle fleet." Yet they did, observed Hegemon Czar of the Tyrellan Collective, his massive form hunched in thought. Commander Lorix's report is quite detailed. The humans employed simple physics and clever strategy to devastating effect. Taz Lorix stood at the center of the chamber delivering his testimony. He had been promoted to acting fleet commander following the heroic death of Vorn Halleck, a fiction that served the Concordat's dignity better than the truth. "The humans are unique in my experience," Lorix explained. "They developed nuclear weapons before they reached their own moon. They created antimatter containment before achieving faster-than-light travel. In short, they prioritized destructive capability over exploration. All the more reason they should be contained," argued Ambassador Zathebs of the Krex hegemony. "Such a species is clearly too dangerous to allow unfettered access to the galaxy." "I disagree," Lorix countered. "Their history suggests a different pattern than our own. Where most Concordat species achieved planetary unity through natural cultural evolution, humans forged theirs through conflict and its resolution. They invented weapons first, then found peace. They are not like any of us." The debate continued for hours, with some council members advocating immediate retaliation with planet-killing weapons, while others urged caution and further study of this anomalous species. Then the unthinkable happened. Alarms blared throughout the Concordat capital. Somehow, impossibly human ships had appeared at the edge of Concordat space. Not just one or two experimental vessels, but an entire fleet of sleek, predatory-looking warships. "How did they follow us?" gasped Chancellor Vala. "They should not possess faster-than-light technology. They didn't follow our FTL signature." Lorix realized, studying the sensor readings. They used a completely different method to reach us, some kind of space-folding technology we've never seen before. The view screens in the council chamber activated, showing President Mbeki standing on what appeared to be the bridge of the lead human vessel. "Greetings, Galactic Concordat. I am President Idris Mbeki of the United Earth Coalition. I trust Commander Lorix has explained our position, but allow me to clarify. Humanity will not be quarantined, subjugated, or limited in any way." Mbeki's calm demeanor belied the audacity of his next words. "We propose new terms for our relationship. First, the Concordat will publicly acknowledge its unprovoked attack on Armstrong Base and formally apologize for the deaths of 128 human researchers. Second, appropriate reparations will be paid to the families of the victims. Third, and most importantly, the Galactic Concordat will be dissolved and restructured as the Galactic Coalition with humanity as a founding member." The council erupted in outrage, but Mbeki continued unperturbed. "You have 6 hours to consider these terms. Should you reject them, we are prepared to demonstrate our Planet Cracker protocol on an uninhabited world of your choosing. I believe you'll find the demonstration persuasive." The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. "This is outrageous," Ambassador Zeth finally sputtered. "The Concordat has stood for 1,000 years. We will not be dictated to by newcomers regardless of their unexpected capabilities." "And yet," Chancellor Vala said quietly, "we have never encountered a species that developed such asymmetric capabilities. Their Planet Cracker, do we even know what this weapon does?" All eyes turned to Lorix. "The humans made reference to this during the battle," he confirmed. "Our intelligence analysts believe it may involve creating artificial singularities, essentially weaponized black holes. If they can indeed create such phenomena at will." He left the implication hanging. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Concordat faced an existential choice: adapt or potentially cease to exist. While the council deliberated, Lorix was granted permission to meet privately with the human delegation that had transported to the Concordat station. He entered the secure diplomatic suite to find Dr. Elara Miles waiting for him. "Commander Lorix," she greeted him formally, "thank you for agreeing to this meeting." "Dr. Miles," he replied with equal formality, "I reviewed the Armstrong Base personnel records. Your brother was among those killed in our attack. I offer my personal condolences for your loss." Elara's expression remained neutral. "Thank you, but I'm not here to discuss personal matters. I'm here to explain why the coalition model is superior to the Concordat approach." For the next hour, she outlined humanity's vision, a cooperative alliance of equals, rather than a hierarchical structure that categorized species by their development stage. Protection for developing civilizations, yes, but without the patronizing assumption that all species must follow the same evolutionary path. The Concordat's mistake was assuming technological advancement follows a universal pattern, Elara explained. Humanity developed differently because our planet and our history shaped us differently. The same is likely true for many species you've relegated to primitive status. Lorix considered her words carefully. "There is wisdom in what you say, but you must understand the Concordat's methods have maintained galactic peace for a millennium." "At what cost?" Elara challenged. "How many potentially brilliant civilizations have you stunted? How many unique perspectives and technologies have been lost because they didn't fit your predetermined model of development?" Before Lorix could respond, his communication device chimed. The council had reached a decision. Chancellor Vala stood before the assembled representatives of both the Concordat and humanity. Her crystalline form seemed diminished, somehow less brilliant than before. After careful deliberation, the Concordat accepts the terms proposed by the United Earth Coalition. She announced, her harmonic voice resonating through the chamber. We acknowledge our error in attacking the Armstrong base. We will provide reparations as requested, and we agree to the dissolution and reformation of our alliance as the Galactic Coalition. She turned to face President Mbeki directly. However, we request assurances that humanity will share its unique technologies with its new partners and that the coalition will maintain the Concordat's founding principle of protecting developing species. Mbeki nodded. Those terms are acceptable. Humanity has no desire for galactic domination, only for the freedom to develop on our own terms, and to ensure no other emerging civilization faces the choice we did surrender or fight. The formal signing took place 3 days later. Taz Lorix was appointed as peace ambassador between species, working directly with Dr. Ilara Miles, who represented humanity's interests. Together, they would help shape the new order, bridging the gap between radically different approaches to civilization. As the ceremonies concluded and the delegates dispersed, Lorix and Ilara found themselves alone in one of the station's observation lounges, looking out at the unfamiliar stars. "There's something I've been meaning to ask you," Lorix said hesitantly. "This planet cracker weapon that your president threatened to demonstrate, does it actually exist? Or was it a bluff?" Ilara smiled enigmatically. "Does it matter? Sometimes the fear of a weapon is as effective as the weapon itself." Lorix considered this. A strategy that relies on psychology rather than technology. Very human. "We've had thousands of years of practice," Ilara replied. "War diplomacy, bluffing, they're all parts of the same skill set. Understanding your opponent well enough to predict their response." "And if we had called your bluff?" Lorix asked. Ilara's smile faded. "Let's just say I'm glad we'll never have to find out." As they stood in companionable silence, watching the stars, both contemplated the strange symmetry of their positions. Lorix had lost his commander. Ilara had lost her brother. Both had been thrust into roles they never anticipated, helping to forge a new relationship between vastly different civilizations. "Do you think it will work?" Lorix finally asked. "This coalition of equals?" "I don't know," Ilara admitted. "But I believe it's worth trying. The alternative is a galaxy divided between the powerful and the subjugated." History. Human history at least suggests that such arrangements inevitably lead to rebellion and destruction. "Then we shall make history together," Lorix declared, "a new approach for a new era." As the first rays of Concordia Prime's sun crested the horizon, illuminating the observation lounge with golden light, Earth's unexpected triumph transformed into something more profound. The beginning of a genuine partnership between civilizations that might otherwise have destroyed each other. In the vastness of space, where the distance between stars was matched only by the distance between different ways of thinking, humanity had found its place not through submission or dominance, but through the most human quality of all, the ability to surprise.